Philosopher and the Transurfing Curious. My name is Renee Garcia, guys, and this is TransurfingTV. Did you just see spit fly out of my mouth? Oh boy. Okay, so today's lesson, learned helplessness. Learned helplessness. I actually have this written on a small piece of furniture in my house, and I see it, I recognize it every once in a while, and it kind of reminds me that this is my intention as a transurfer, is to stay on the opposite end of this behavior. And as a, whatever it is, I'm considered a coach or someone that's trying to empower people to take control of their lives and create a better reality for themselves, I have to say that learned helplessness is probably one of the number one challenges that I see people struggling with that hinders their reality creation process. And until you are able to really see exactly how you are exhibiting learned helplessness in your life, or, and this is the crazy thing about it, is it's a perception. It's absolutely a perception. I'm helpless and I don't know how to take control of my little boat that's just getting tossed around by the waves. But the really shitty and sad part of learned helplessness is over time, this just becomes a very rooted program that not only affects your mental health, because as I will go into in this lesson, it's a huge initiator of depression and other mental illness. It also affects your reality creation process, because again, this is the antithesis of reality creation. You're either helpless or you are in control and empowered. So today I'm going to talk about all the different parts of learned helplessness and how to steer yourself away from this if you are struggling with learned helplessness, how to recognize it. So maybe you don't even necessarily know that you're doing this, or that this is a part of your program. And the sad part about learned helplessness is, especially for those of you like me who had a very dysfunctional and abusive childhood, learned helplessness is sort of a coping mechanism, if you will, that has long-term destructive consequences if you're not able to, again, recognize it and eradicate it from your worldview as an adult. So I'm gonna break it all down for you guys, and hopefully this will help you if you are in fact challenged to truly take your reality creation process to the next level. I would say you might be struggling with some learned helplessness. Before I get started though, remember to like this video, subscribe, and comment. Ask your questions below. Join us on the Facebook group, the International Transurfing Institute Facebook group. And follow me on Instagram, reality_transurfing. Links below, Reality 2.0 and Tufty 2.0. Check them out on Teachable. And for those of you that would like to join our membership, our VIP membership here, we have a killer, awesome surprise that is going to be available to anyone that's a VIP member. We're not going to tell you what it is. You gotta join in order to find out, but it is really, really good, and I'm sure anyone that's a VIP member is going to greatly appreciate this added bonus. and it will only be available to VIP members. Okay, so before I give my little breakdown of each of these points, I'm just gonna read a very small paragraph on both learned helplessness and then self-efficacy. Learned helplessness is behavior exhibited by a subject after enduring repeated aversive stimuli beyond their control. It was initially thought to be caused from the subject's acceptance of their powerlessness, discontinuing attempts to escape or avoid the aversive stimulus, even when such alternatives are unambiguously presented. Upon exhibiting such behavior, the subject was said to have acquired learned helplessness. Over the past few decades, neuroscience has provided insight into learned helplessness and shown that the original theory actually had it backwards. The brain's default state is to assume that control is not present, and the presence of helpfulness is what is actually learned first. However, it is learned when a subject is faced with prolonged aversive stimulation. In humans, learned helplessness is related to the concept of self-efficacy, the individual's belief in their innate ability to achieve goals. Learned helplessness theory is the view that clinical depression and related mental illness may result from such real or perceived absence of control over the outcome of a situation. Okay, before I get into self-efficacy, I'm gonna break a few points down. So I'll use myself as an example. My childhood. I was in an environment that was highly chaotic, extremely dysfunctional. There was a lot going on, a lot of kids, a lot of stuff playing out in the environment, people around that had drug and alcohol issues and mental illness and all sorts of things that a child is absolutely not capable of navigating psychologically. So after enduring repeated aversive stimuli beyond control, I developed learned helplessness. I can't escape. Now, a lot of these thoughts aren't conscious, right? These are subconscious thoughts and sensations and self-talk. But feelings of being trapped, feelings of having no control, feelings of being a victim, feelings of being helpless, feelings of not being able to take the initiative and find my way to a higher and better environment. This is the sad part of childhood, when a child is subject to prolonged dysfunction and abuse. There's no way for the child to possibly escape. The child doesn't have the means to escape. Therefore, in order to reconcile this dysfunction and chaos, learned helplessness helps to sort of ease the pain, if you will. Oh, I can't, there's nothing I can do. I'm helpless. It's not in my control, so on and so forth. So as the small paragraph that I just read suggested, learned helplessness comes after feelings of being powerful in nature. You're powerful first, then your power is unlearned after prolonged exposure to aversive stimulation. So this is where reality transurfing sort of comes in, to the extent that in this knowledge, it's about removing the layers of programming. And as Vadim Zeland states in the book, returning to yourself. So our inherent nature as human beings is that of a creator. We have the ability to create. We have the ability to control our environment. We have the ability to make choices. Now again, these ideas that I'm expressing here are not available to the child that grew up in dysfunction and chaos. So when I encounter someone coming to me for training or to take courses or has questions, and I see them really, really struggling with their reality creation process, maybe they're still really challenged by romantic relationships, unable to get themselves into healthy, good romantic relationships. Maybe they're struggling with their streams of income and finances. And again, I can almost always see a trail back to a dysfunctional childhood filled with chaos and a dynamic that was out of the person's control. And that leaves them as an adult unable to really get out into the world, remove themselves from this state of learned helplessness, and actually feel empowered to start making moves in their reality. So that will bring me to self-efficacy, which I have learned. So just as much as I was an extreme case of learned helplessness, I mean, this carried into my adulthood. I was heavily in debt. I was in abusive relationships. I had problems with drugs and alcohol. I had extremely low self-esteem and feelings of low self-worth, and struggled with depression, my God, to the extent where I was hospitalized at times. And this was all because I absolutely did not believe in myself as a being able to follow through and achieve goals for myself. I was an extreme case. So learned helplessness is on one end of the spectrum, and then absolute self-efficacy on the other. So this is what I will say about self-efficacy. Self-efficacy, according to psychologist Albert Bandura, who originally proposed the concept in 1977, is a personal judgment of how well or poorly a person is able to perform a specific task or cope with a given situation based on the skills they have and the circumstances they face. Self-efficacy affects every area of human endeavor. By determining the beliefs a person holds regarding their power to affect situations, self-efficacy strongly influences both the power a person actually has to face challenges competently and the choices a person is most likely to make. These effects are particularly apparent and compelling with regards to investment behaviors such as health and education. Okay, so again, two opposite ends of the spectrum, and I have seen every single shade, in my opinion, between absolute learned helplessness, absolute self-efficacy. So what I would present to you if you are struggling with any feelings of helplessness at all, again, struggling to obtain the financial health that you want to see for yourself, struggling to get yourself into higher and better friendships and romantic relationships, and really be in control of your environment, taking reign and absolute going about your environment with the absolute awareness and power that you are the one that is in control. If you're struggling with any of that, and I hope that I said that right. If you're struggling with any of that, it's about awareness at this point. So I see myself, I see my reality is gonna come into play in a massive way. If you notice today, tomorrow, in the immediate future, that you're having any thoughts of not getting what it is you want, not being able to experience the version of reality that you want to experience, not feeling in control, feeling like you're in a victim role, anything like that, to wake up in the moment. I see myself, I see my reality. How can I shift my perception over? Because it is all in your perception. That's all it is. The world is absolutely neutral. We all have access to absolute self-efficacy and absolute learned helplessness. But whatever one you are going to embody and use as a platform for your reality creation process, either creating something of your intention and your choosing, or allowing yourself to exist on some of those lower lifelines where you feel absolutely helpless, this is your choice. So if you start to really understand not only this idea to the extent that you can call yourself out when you're doing it, call yourself out when you're doing it. I am exhibiting the behavior of learned helplessness. I don't have the power, that stuff's for other people, I don't know how to do that, I can't, I'm just a victim of this situation or these circumstances. Any thoughts of lower nature, of not being able to take control of a situation or yourself or other people, and really moving into these concepts to the extent where you start to embrace that you do have control. So how do you do that exactly? How do you do that exactly? Well, this gets us to the original and first concept offered in Reality Transurfing steps 1 through 5. Evidence to support all theories. Learned helplessness is just one of infinite theories. Now, it's an easy one, it's an easy script to get sucked into, especially if you are in fact a helpless child struggling, when you were a child, struggling to, make sense of your reality and your role within it. But now you have the choice, and especially if you're watching this video, you have the choice to create a new theory for yourself. Are you continuing to gather evidence to support the theory that you are in fact helpless? Are you able to make a new choice today and embrace a new theory? I once was helpless, and now I am empowered, and I believe in my own self-efficacy to the extent that I'm going to take control of this ship. So gathering evidence to support a new theory and calling yourself out anytime you are doing any of this kind of thinking that is in line with your learned helplessness. And I hope I gave enough examples here, but again, if you are struggling to understand why something's playing out, why you can't take control, why you must endure something, why something seemingly never seems to work out, why you can't gain control of your finances or your romantic situation, why you can't gain control of your health. If you're struggling with any thoughts of this nature, learned helplessness. So again, focusing on a new theory for yourself and reality transurfing is absolutely what you can use to bridge that gap between your learned helplessness and a new and profound sense of self-efficacy, and actually use that to create the reality of your choice. So I will end this video with this. One easy, super easy way in which you can start exiting the learned helplessness mode and stepping into a more powerful version of yourself mode is to take risks and become more comfortable with taking risks. This is putting yourself into a little box, staying in that box of comfort and protecting yourself as you take more and more risks, even just starting small. as you take more and more risks, the walls of that box of comfort start to dissolve a little bit, and you will be connected with higher and better ways in which you can exit this mode and move into creator mode. But it's all in your ability to step out and try to venture beyond this sense of helplessness. Even if you mess up in your risk taking, it's better than being here. So let me know your thoughts on this video. I know this is a complex topic. Are you struggling with learned helplessness still? Are you just hearing about this concept? And do you feel that this video can offer you any relief? And have you stepped away from this, stepping into that higher creator mode for yourself? And can you offer any advice to others that may still be struggling with learned helplessness? Comment below. So thank you so much for watching my video, guys, and have a good day. Bye, y'all.